still of the night, I think of you.
You don't have to work for me. There is a provision for university scholarship for brilliant students from this community hoping to further their studies. I've seen your grades. You are highly qualified for it. Said breathed a sigh of relief. She did not know if he saw through their rules or not, but she was happy with his response. She was also very aware that he responded from a place of generosity and kindness, second nature to him. And suddenly it dawned on her that Tinu was the child he had flown to the city. She must not have been that little when it happened. Little wonder gratitude turned to love, she reasoned. She smiled at them as they began walking back. Both mother and daughter gave her a dangerous and malicious look. What did you buy? He was holding a cooler. They are sending them to the house. She had only grabbed the bikini because she wanted to visit the waterfall after they had had breakfast. Where to now? To eat? Where? He had taken her breath away by bringing her to the waterfalls like he read her mind. She couldn't hide the happiness bubbling inside her as he looked at the amazing waterfalls. It was so beautiful and peaceful. She flopped down beside him as he laid the blanket on the grass. They were surrounded by lush green grasses and foliage and pretty flowers. Wonderful. She smiled at him. I told you I'll make it up to you if you stayed. He opened the cooler to reveal delicious-looking jollof rice covered in grilled chicken and turkey. Where did you get courtesy of the foreman's wife? She took over the dishing of the food. Isn't this too heavy for breakfast? I believe we fought for breakfast. He winked at her. This is brunch. That wasn't a fight. That was getting to know each other. She handed him a plate of food. Then she saw the akara and some other fries she ordered. Remember the first time we met? I was running away from Angela, and there you were with your friends. She smiled. Then I looked up from sobbing sometime later and you were there handing me a handkerchief. Someone had to teach you how to survive the Angelas of this world. She smiled, and that single action alone had started something in her heart that she thought was there long ago, but obviously was not. She smiled. Did you know? I had a huge crush on you afterwards. He sat up. Seriously? I never knew. He laughed. You were too preoccupied with Trish to notice me, and you broke my heart. You were my first heartbreak. He stopped eating. I was? Star didn't know if she should continue talking, but she didn't know how to stop then. Remember your final year party when you broke up with Trish? I was going to confess my feelings to you. I followed you upstairs to your room and found me and Trish instead. He finished. My goodness, isn't life ironic? In my defense, I wasn't aware that Trish was there. She ambushed me. He laughed. What a fun ambush it was. I guess you are the first man to show me what sex was. She teased him. He laughed. So, I am your first love, first frustrated movie, and first heartbreak? He laughed again. This is unbelievable. I guess you finally got over me because when I came back from uni, you wouldn't give me the time of the day. No response. But here we are. She began to clear away the dishes. He watched her doing the simple task and wondered what he was to do with the information. Was she in love with him? According to his friends, she had all the opportunity to date them and he couldn't help but wonder how easy she came into his life, like she had been waiting. He grew scared momentarily. If she loved him and had loved him since she was 15, then this is not a child's play for her. He could really hurt her. He had to tread carefully with her, he thought. I'm going for a swim? She got into his thoughts. Not in that jeans, I hope. He teased her. Seriously, is that all you think about? You are so naughty. She stood up. Turn around. She smiled sweetly at him. I thought we have both agreed that they are my wares. I am an Igbo girl, and nothing is yours until my bride price is paid in full. He laughed. That I think I can afford. But at the back of his mind, he wondered if it was marriage she wanted. Was that her way of telling him marriage or nothing? He enjoyed her company and cared about her, but he had cared about her for so long. They were friends and have been friends for a long time, though he wouldn't deny that what he felt for her was different than before. But did he want to marry her? He wasn't sure. Was she holding her till he was sure? Was that why she refused to sleep with him? Because she was holding out for marriage? He stifled a sigh and looked up as she spoke again. Till then, she said, standing her ground. Very well then, he turned around. She tied the strings holding the white bikini bottoms together, praying the thing wouldn't come loose while swimming. She tied the strings holding the matching bikini top together. The top was a bit too small for her, as most of her breasts spilled out. Nothing she could do about it, she thought. She would just take it as part of her plans to keep him on his toes. You may turn around now. He turned and saw her in her ensemble and whistled. Then he noticed the delicate strings at the sides of her well-rounded hips and whistled again. He walked up to her and drew her into his arms, loving her tiny waist and flat stomach. But she slipped from his hands and ran towards the waterfalls. Briskly he divested himself of his clothes and joined her in the water. "The water is warm," she exclaimed. She was expecting the cold water to hit her and maybe cure her of the loss that had engulfed her. "Did I not tell you? It's a hot spring." "No," she gasped as she felt him behind her. "There is a cave further down. It comes from there." She swam away from him, and for a while they were content, just frolicking in the water. She swam to a rock at the edge of the water and leaned on it. She wondered what he thought of her confession. He had become a little quieter after that, but seeing her in her bikini seemed to have perked him up once more, and he was laughing and teasing her. Was there a part of him that cared for more than her birthday? Did he want something more than what they already had? Could she even win his heart? Or would he be her first and last heartbreak? Because after him, there would be no more. If this didn't work, she would never love another. There was no one else. Not when she was 15. Not now. Not ever. "Penny for your thoughts?" He leaned on the rock beside her. "Just taking in this lovely view." "Yeah, it's a wonderful view with beautiful curves," and he was tracing his hands on her waist and hips. Then he turned her around and kissed her. She melted against him. She loved this man. Took one look at him and fell head over heels in love with him. She wanted him to love her back desperately. Yet, there was this fear he never would, that she was not his type. Because if she really was, why did he wait 17 years to notice her? 17 years, and she had to drunkenly kiss him to awaken any kind of feelings for her in him. And she was not totally sure that it was not just lust for her body she awakened in him. She felt his hands on the strings of her bikini bottoms. It would be easy, so easy to let go and damn the consequences. Even if he left after his lust was sated, even though that would shatter her into a million pieces. Yet she could go on knowing she had this one time in the arms of the love of her life. She thought shakily, laden with passion, threatening to drown her. No, she said to herself all of a sudden. She wanted more than this from this man. She wanted more than just to make love to him by the spring. She wanted forever, and before she went this far with him, there must be some kind of commitment. Something more than "I don't know what I'm doing with you, but I want to figure it out." That has always been his response. So she would let him do that at least. She concluded and placed a restraining hand over his. He broke the kiss and stared at her small hands. "What's going on?" He asked in a very throaty voice she barely recognized. "May I ask you a question?" Yes. Her body was still humming from his caress. "Did you always wait to figure it out with all your exes?" She gasped and stared at him with shock. Did he not hear what she told him? She had been waiting for him for 17 years. Because if you were, you would have been married times and times over by now. She pushed away from his embrace and walked with the blanket, telling herself she would not let him see how much he had hurt her. "Someone?" he called, coming out of the water. It was a simple enough question. There's no need for you to get worked up over it. Simple enough question. You just stood there and insulted me. Of course, I've had numerous lovers. I should not play or pretend as some kind of purity I don't have. She angrily wiped tears from her eyes. Of course, if I was this big on commitment before I removed my pants, I wouldn't be single at 32. I hear you, Stanley. She began to pull on her clothes. That is not how I meant it, he began, and suddenly he couldn't hold back his own rage. He did not know who he was angry with, himself for hurting her again, or with her. I am sick and tired of you flaying up at the littlest thing. What is this? I can't count how many apologies I've rendered since all this began. I feel like I'm being schooled by you. I am sorry, Summer, but I am not going to ever be afraid to say things that needs to be said or ask questions that needs to be asked, so I don't offend your fragile sensibility. She stared at him, trying but failing to get hold of her anger. Fragile sensibility, as far as I'm concerned, is better than being unfeeling, hurtful, and insensitive. If I am unfeeling and hurtful, maybe you bring out the worst in me. You are the first woman to complain, babe. Yes, because I'm not one of those your empty-brain bimbo's you are used to. This woman knows exactly what she wants, how she wants to be treated, and is not afraid to ask for it. She saw him smile, but with anger, and at that moment, when he remained silent, his rage was at the highest, but she was too angry to care. I want to go home. I never wanted you here in the first place, she gasped silently, more hurt. You chose to come because you wanted to offer some comfort, but I have done nothing but pacify your anger ever since. You wanted to say more, but Dele arrived. Ready, boss? Had forgotten he planned an helicopter tour of the paradise for her. I will find my way back to the castle, she said quietly. We will drive you. As angry as he was, this was still a construction site, and mostly dangerous to anyone not used to the site. There were manholes and uneven terrains, so he would drive her back and leave her well alone. At this point, they needed their space. Star was busy packing up. She did not want Dele to see her tears. I still need to pack up. I know my way back. Get in the car, or I will carry you inside it. She finally looked up at him, and his heart shattered when he saw the tears. He never meant to hurt her. He never thought the simple enough question would hurt her this much. She held her head high and walked past him to the car, determined to be gone from his paradise by the time he was done with his inspection. She could not wait to come down from the car as soon as they stopped in front of the castle. Without a backwards glance, she entered the house and resisted the urge to slam the door. She sat down on one of the white couches and began to look for a ride. She was leaving, she concluded. She was not going to take any more of his callousness. How dare he? She asked in the empty room. Simple enough question, my foot. He stood there and quietly accused her of being promiscuous, married times and times again. Meaning what exactly? That she has had uncountable lovers whom she didn't mind dropping her pants for, so why was it different? Why was she holding out for a commitment? He actually thought she was using her body as a weapon or a trap to get him to commit to her. She was bewildered at his reasoning. Are you not? Her mind asked her, and she stopped for a moment. Not as a trap. She just did not want to be another Betty who could only hold his interest for a while. She had seen him lose interest in women after a few days, at most weeks, and without a backwards glance leave those women. Only that those women would still pant after him, fighting themselves to get to him. She did not want to fall into that category. If he was not going to commit to her, then she was better off without him, she reasoned. Her mother had committed her all to a man who did not love her enough. She was a perfect wife, docile, submissive and catering to all his needs. But where did that get her? Thrown out of her house with nothing but the clothes on her back. She had sworn she would never let any man treat her that way. She would never be the kind of woman who kept mute when she could have spoken as just to maintain the peace. So if he wanted a mute-brain-led woman, he was better off with Tinu or Betty, who wanted nothing but to please him. After the third cancellation from the cab drivers, she stood up and began to pace. Needing to do something to distract herself, she walked into the kitchen, and true to the vendor's words, her purchases have been sent to the house. She saw the foodstuff she bought sitting on the kitchen counter. Without thinking, she began to put them away. She needed something to do or she would go mad trying to make sense of what exactly was happening. She was already done prepping for the hot soup when she realized what she was doing. She stopped. She didn't want him to think she was cooking for him. He would think she was apologizing. He was the one who needed to apologize to her, not the other way around. He was the one who needed to acknowledge how wrong he was, not her. Then again, if she stopped after all this preparation, all this would go to waste. So she heaved a sigh and continued cooking. Besides, she thought with a sigh, he was partially right. He did not want her here. He wanted to be alone. He had told her he wasn't the easiest of person to be around when he was in a bad mood, but she had insisted on coming because she wanted to offer him a shoulder to lean on, to offer some kind of comfort, and he was right. She had done nothing but get angry at the slightest provocation. She heaved another sigh. So maybe she thought they both needed to apologize to each other. She thought as she cooked. Sir finished in the kitchen and the soup was done, but she had refrained from making the swallow. She wanted to make pounded yam the traditional way for him, but she didn't feel like it anymore. Not with the anger sizzling inside her. She did not feel like eating herself. Instead, she decided to take a walk. If only she knew how her walk would end, she would have stayed back.
In the still of the night, I think of you. My heart beats with every thought of you. You're the one I can't let go. In your arms I find my home, love sweet.